Hello guys, can you hear me? It's a bit phone bell. Can you hear me? Testing, 1, 2, testing. Can you hear me now? Nope. Oh no. I don't understand what this is. I hate you, YouTube. New stream. Okay. Hi guys. This YouTube does not like me, so it keeps knocking me off the stream. So unfortunately, the other stream is still running, but it doesn't seem to be working. It doesn't seem to be closing down. Okay. We have 2. What happened? I don't know. Everything was running fine, and then it suddenly just dropped. Here we go. You're back. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. There's a problem with the... I don't know if it's a problem with the software or a problem with the... it's working again. Good. Okay. My viewer count still shows only 2 viewers, but I know there are a lot more than 2 of you in here. 17. Okay, it's slightly starting to return to normal. Apologies for that. Dimension 2. Just went from Dimension 1. Alter Ego is also great. Thank you very much, Glasgow Kiss. So you'll have to ask your questions again because I lost where we were at. Look who's back again. Max is back to tell a friend. 27. My stream is showing only 17 views. Train crash ahead, 29. So I think we'll gradually get people back on. Apologies. We'll be back up to 100 in no time. Thanks. Yes. Glasgow Kiss, your star. Okay, 36. So unfortunately, you'll have to re-ask your question again. You're talking about Sicilian looting. Thank you very much. I swear YouTube will have hamster-powered servers. Yes, I think what's going to happen is, so in Italy, in the south of Italy, well, also all over Italy, when the lockdown came in, a lot of people who worked for companies who had a full-time or temporary contract were laid off, but the companies either asked them to work from home, which was normal, or many people were able to claim unemployment assistance. But you have to be working in order to claim unemployment assistance. So instead, what happened was a lot of people who are working, we'd say under the table, cash in hand, who are not paying taxes. And many of these are people who are, they can range from plumbers, electricians who come around to your home, to people working in bars and restaurants. In many cases, the companies or the owners of these, for example, a restaurant, would hire 2 or 3 people who'd have a contract, and then they'd hire another 2 or 3 people without a contract, so that whenever there was some type of control carried out by the government, by the local authorities, they would have just 3 people working at the time, so they would be able to cover their asses in a way. But these people who have been working cash in hand now have nothing, and many of them are are in a desperate situation. Now, it's not just them, it's also people who own bars or restaurants. These bars and restaurants have been closed, and many of them may not have some form of insurance to cover this. And I don't even know if the insurance companies will cover this. Normally, if it's government mandated, then they should be covered, but maybe they weren't running their businesses completely legally. So many of them don't have any support from the government or from the insurance companies. So they are, they have the wolf at the door. They are in desperate situation. So many of them are going to the supermarket and stealing food because they literally don't have money to get what they need. And unfortunately, the government isn't doing very much to help this. I've been talking before we lost the stream that a UBI would be a fantastic solution for dealing with this. It would provide people with the means to live, and it would create jobs, actually, because more people would be spending money in the local community. People would maybe splash out more on car repairs or on calendars, maybe. So it could be a good way to rejuvenate the economy. Okay, I'll go back to some of the comments. It's difficult to listen to this right-wing liberal complaints about the economic system. It can't be made to work in the interest of everyone. It's built on poverty and oppression. Facts trump prejudice. Forgive me for saying this, but people who have worked cash in hand knew what the risks were. I agree, but in many cases, especially in the south of Italy, there are no real controls on the black economy. So many people don't have a choice. Look, the employer would say, "Look, you come to work for me. If you want a job, you work for me, but I'm not going to give you a contract. I'll pay you €20 a day, €10 a day, or €15 a day, or whatever it is, and that's it. If you don't like it, go away. I'll find someone else." And because there is so much unemployment, many people say, "Okay, this is all I have available to me, and I'll do it." So it's not really their fault. It's more a problem of the employers and the state. The state don't have proper checks in place for this. Also because in the south of Italy there's a huge impact, the influence of the mafia. So there, in many cases, the state has no impact in certain areas of the country. That is completely run by the mafia, especially in the city of Naples, for example. Can any of us say what we would not steal if our children were hungry? Yeah. And of course with this, hi Brenda, welcome to the stream number 2. And in many cases, as you were saying, what would you do if your children were hungry? Sorry, I was going to say, in many cases, the charities that would normally help people who are hungry have closed down because their volunteers are afraid of getting COVID-19, and also because not many people are working anymore, they're not donating. 66 viewing, only 18 likes. Come on guys, hit the like button. Keep the stream up. Get everyone back in again. So we're going up slightly, but Glasgow Kiss is right. Hit the like button, we'll get more people in. 19 now. According to the Repubblica Daily, a group of locals ran out of the Palermo supermarkets without paying. "We have no money to pay, we have to eat," somebody shouting. Yeah. I think the government could help out the supermarket, say to the supermarkets, "Look, put aside a certain amount of food for people who are desperate. Provide more resources to the charities." But again, it's the problem for the charities is many people who volunteer normally are older people who are retired, who don't need to work. Many of those people are volunteers, but they are also the people who are at higher risk of contacting this illness, so they're staying at home. It's a cluster, perfect storm. You have people who are desperate for food, but they can't get it because they don't have money, and then the charities are not available to provide that. What's happening to people in housing distress? I don't know the situation regarding that in Italy. Rents have all been frozen, so anyone who's paying rent doesn't have to pay their rent. Anyone who's paying mortgages is the same. But the homeless, I have no idea what's happening with them. Again, it's where I live. We don't have, in my town there are no homeless people, but in some of the larger towns, I think the charities are working with the homeless people, but then that can only go on for so long because the volunteers are afraid to get infected also. Have you seen the interview with the WHO guy that is asking about Taiwan? No, I haven't seen that. I'll check it out. Max, apologies if you've been asked why don't you have a traditional Irish accent? I don't have a traditional Irish accent. No, I don't. Are you sure I don't? I think I've lost my accent because I've been living in Italy so long, and the accent is a funny one because, sorry, just having a glass of wine because I live in Italy and I have to drink wine. Guys, if you ever have a chance to come to Italy and we meet up, I have to take you to some fantastic wine cellars. You can get a glass of fantastic wine, not a fantastic glass, a glass of fantastic wine for about €1.50. So if in the UK it's about £1.20. I love that brick. I love my brick, Father Jack. €1, £1.20 glass of wine, and not cheap crap. Okay, very, very good wine, because here in Italy you follow the old people. The old people drink very good wine, and they don't pay a lot for it. You have thank you very much, Andrew. You have a lovely accent. Rishi Sundak seems pretty legit for was a hedge fund manager. Yes. It's baby sham stuff. I have to try Bookfast. So I was in Northern Ireland last year, but I didn't get a chance to try Bookfast. I was only there for I went to a pub, but I was afraid to ask for Bookfast in a pub because I don't know whether they'd say, please leave now. Or I don't know if you guys have heard, I said this in one of the other streams. When I first came to Italy, I was in shock because I went so they have these places called Inoteca. And in the Inoteca, you buy wine in bulk. So it's like a small shop, and they sell only wine, but they have these huge containers, and they have, wait till you hear this, you fill up your wine using like a petrol pump nozzle. So they have like a petrol pump nozzle for filling up, because the older people enter and they normally buy 5 litres or 10 litres or 25 litres of wine. They drink quite a bit here, worse than the Irish. It's but I was in shock. You fill up your wine with a petrol pump nozzle. Anyway, have you heard that the Italians thinking of the EU at the moment? So on Twitter, I wouldn't follow much of what you hear on Twitter, because a lot of the people are actually quite Eurosceptic on Twitter, because they need someone to blame, and they can't blame the government, so they blame the EU. But as far as I know, there isn't much of a problem. Well, before this crisis, support for the EU was quite strong in Italy. I don't know if it'll be the same after, because certain people like Salvini, who's on a centre, he's a right-wing demagogue. He's promoting the idea that it's the European Union's fault, it's China's fault, We need to stop, working with the European Union. We need to deal with this ourselves. We need to get back to work. He's a bit like Trump. He's actually a friend of Trump. He got some photos taken with Donald Trump a couple of years ago. €1.50 is about 50% of the tax on a glass of wine in Belgium, but you have very good beer in Belgium. Don't try Buckfast. I live near Buckfast Abbey. Visit here, I'll take you. Cool. Petrol pumped wine. Yes. But you have to see it. If I'm able to find the place again, because under lockdown I can't, but I'll take a photo and I'll put it up on the channel if you're interested. The blame game has started. Yes, I agree, John. I wanted to show you some videos, so just let me say, just bear with me a moment. I'll show you the videos now. So let's hear. There's a video about the British response at the moment from Michael Gove, our old friend Michael Gove. We have these ads, so I'll just mute it until the ad is over. Mark G, thank you very much for that kind donation. Thank you everyone for your kind donations tonight. Okay, let's hear what Michael Gove has to say, and then I'll respond to some of his comments. Gove will trigger me, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll just stick to petrol pumps and calendars.
I'm joined today by Dr. Jenny Harris.
Tell me, guys, if you don't hear it, because there may be some sound issues.
Deputy Chief Medical Officer, and Professor Stephen Powis, the Medical Director of NHS England. I'd like first to update you all on the facts about the spread of COVID-19 and the steps that we are then taking in the battle against this virus. 143,186 people have now been tested for the virus. Of those, 25,150 have tested positive. And sadly, yesterday we recorded the highest single increase in the number of deaths as a result of COVID-19. 381 people died, meaning that of those hospitalised in the UK, the number who have passed away now totals 1,789. Every death is the loss of a loved one, and our thoughts and prayers are with those who are grieving.
Okay, but would it be nice to attempt to avoid this when there was the possibility? I'm not saying all of these deaths could have been avoided, but you have to take some of this responsibility. It started off in China. Okay, we can accept that us in Europe, and I mean Europe as in also the UK and in the West, in the United States, didn't do anything. We were saying, okay, it's a Chinese problem, leave it to the Chinese, it's probably not going to affect us. And we can be sort of understood for that because it remained there for a long time. But then when it started in Italy, and it started in France, and in Spain, at that stage, when it started in Italy and it exploded in Italy, it wasn't just a few cases and then it gradually increased. There was an explosion, and that was the time to say, okay, now we need to do something.
Overall, 10,767 people in England have been admitted to hospital with COVID-19 symptoms. The largest number of those is in London, with 3,915 people in hospital care, while in the Midlands, the number of those hospitalised is now 1,918 and accelerating upwards.
Now, something pretty desperate I read was that there seems to be a focus on dealing with the problem in London and not so much dealing with the rest of the country. So I'm afraid that other parts of the country, other parts of the UK, such as Scotland and Wales, may be forgotten. That the focus is on London mainly, and I hope that's not the case. But this seemed to be a problem that members of the medical community in Scotland and Wales protested about this. They said, look, we're being forgotten. Don't forget about us. I understand that the main outbreak, the cases are concentrated in London, but it's important not to forget the other parts of the country, because as soon as they're forgotten, then the numbers will increase there also.
These numbers reinforce the vital importance of following the government's social distancing guidelines. The more we restrict contact, the more we slow the spread of the infection, the more that we can help the NHS build the capacity needed to care for those most in need. And that capacity is increasing. More NHS staff are returning to the front line, and more testing is taking place to help those self-isolating come back and to protect those working so hard in our hospitals and in social care. But while the rate of testing is increasing, we must go further, faster. A critical constraint on the ability to rapidly increase testing capacity is the availability of the chemical reagents which are necessary in the testing. The Prime Minister and the Health Secretary are working with companies worldwide to ensure that we get the material we need to increase tests of...
So I'll just go back to some of the comments on the stream. In the UK, NHS is regionalised to an extent. I don't they've forgotten, just not reported by London media. Southeast Wales is really going out of control. London is a hotspot at the moment, though. I agree, but I think there are two ways you can deal with it. You can try to put all your efforts into London and then deal with the other cases later, which may be a better approach, or try to deal with all of them at the same time, because you're dealing with something that's spreading. So maybe it's better to focus on London mainly, but I don't know. NHS Scotland. Oh, I lost the comment. NHS Scotland is devolved, Max. We've sod all to do with England NHS. Have you seen the packed tube trains? Yeah, there were also this morning. There were pictures of tube trains packed with people. Max, you're saying that the accent is a funny one. Then you drank some wine and started talking about wine for €1.50 and never finished the story in your accent. Because I had said everything. Okay. Trump is only worried about his ratings doing. I can't believe Donald Trump went into talking about how good his ratings were at this time. He's dealing with a serious issue and he's talking about his friggin' ratings. It's all about him. He's a narcissist. A complete and utter narcissist. Everything has to be about him. It's like when he met with victims, I don't remember what it was. There was a hurricane or something like that. And he met with these victims. And at the end of listening to what they had to say, he was like, yeah, but have you seen my ratings? Aren't I great? Everything is about him. I really wish somebody would get up and give him a kiss. New Orleans is expected to run out of ventilators on Sunday and hospital beds by Monday. In the United States, I don't know how they're going to deal with it, because you're going to have outbreaks all over the country. So if it was concentrated just in New York or just in some of the larger cities, you could throw all the resources you have at that to stop the spread. But there are still places that are not locked down. And you have population centers that are going to be deeply affected. Puerto Rico, he threw paper towels at them. Can't we clone Lee Harvey Oswald? Is there not enough DNA left to clone him? life is a reality for Trump. He can't intellectually conceive of life outside that framework. Yes, he's been raised as a spoiled baby, and he's never been told no in his life, I think. Would you volunteer to give him a kiss? If I was infected, I would. Then I would have to do something, like I'd have to jump from a bridge or something. No offense to anyone there, but I just, why are doctors and nurses dying on the front line and Donald Trump is still alive and kicking? There's no justice in the world. I see 500,000 dying in the US, sadly. Briss 88, yeah, I think it's going to be the case. If you've seen the curve, it's vertical. It's 90 degrees, the curve at the moment in the United States on cases. And this is only the beginning. And this is only the beginning in New York. Some places haven't even started yet. And you still have people moving around the country. Glasgow kiss will give him a Glasgow kiss. When I left school, one of the teachers said I'd never amount to anything, but I'm lying on my couch saving the bloody world. Fuck you, Mr. Mallory. It was like 2019, get your ass out of the sofa and go out and run. Now it's get your ass on the sofa and don't go out and run. Or only run once, don't go out and run twice. Okay, let's hear what Mr. Gove has to say some more. Sorry, I lost the picture. Just a moment.
Of all kinds. And as well as increasing the number of staff on the front line and the tests which protect them, we must also increase the capacity to provide oxygen.
Okay, but how many tests do you have? This would be important to know. If you said, we have 50,000 tests, we have 100,000 tests. But if you don't say how many you have, it's pointless saying we're going to test so many people. We have lots of tests, but once again, if you don't have any numbers, it's not very valuable to people. Because if we know there are, say, 2 million NHS staff on the front line, or I don't know how many staff, 100,000, 200,000, and you say, look, there are 200,000 staff, we have 200,000 tests, or we have 100,000 tests today, by next week we'll have another 100,000, or whatever. But you have to give people numbers so they can understand where we're going with this.
To those worst affected by the disease.
Sorry, just go back to the chat for a moment. Mount Sinai in New York has run out of beds, 4,500 corona people in there. It's already run out of beds. And this is just the beginning. And it's 4,500. You're going to see... I don't know if you guys saw the video I uploaded recently where I showed the figures. Let me actually try and do it here. Although I think there's a problem with the website. I can't really show. Maybe I'll try and show it to you. We'll leave Michael Gove. I know you like Michael Gove, but it's not here. It's on this one. So this is, it's not working. Damn it. There's a problem with my tool. But we can see it here. So here we are. And hospital overload in New York City. So hospital overload is expected on the 4th of April. So in about 4 days' time. So today we're on the 31st of March. So the 4th of April, we're going to see hospital overload. With so if we had, so if there was how can we read this graph? So the red is limited action. So if there are no actions taken, this is where the numbers would peak at. So you'd have 423,000 hospitalizations in New York City. Just New York City. This is not the United States. This is New York City. 423,000 on the 20th of April. And then it would decline. But you're still talking about, so by the end of the month, 32,000, because you would eventually deal with the number of cases. The number of cases would eventually decrease. But look at this type of curve compared to this one, which is a lockdown, having some type of 3 months in shelter, strict compliance, so people stay at home for 3 months. So you're comparing 28th of April, or where is it here? The 16th of April, 78,000 hospitalizations compared to the 20th, more or less, 423,000 hospitalizations. Now, how many of those people need ventilators? Donald Trump is talking about, yeah, you need 30,000. No, 400,000. This is the number of beds 16 available. So these are the beds actually available at the moment. So you have 22,000 beds available, and they'll gradually increase because you can't double the numbers. No ventilator, sure death, yes. I recommend you check out this website. It's very, very good. Unfortunately, my tool doesn't let us see the exact numbers at the bottom. I recommend you check out the tool. So it's the website is covidactnow.org. I don't know if it'll let me view other maps. Let's see. Like another area, California. A similar one. So at least today, hospitalization overload would be on the 20th, around the 22nd of April. This is a bit later on. But there are some states where there's nothing taking place. Let's look at Texas, for example. So overload, assuming social distancing, is social distancing taking place in Texas? But you're still talking about the hospitals are overloaded. But there was another state I saw where there was a huge problem. I think it's Alabama, Mississippi, sorry. Oh, they're still a little bit away, but it's going to happen quite soon. Within 20 days for many states. To Florida, good idea. So the number of beds, they have 32,000 maximum, but you're going to expected hospitalizations on the 28th of April, 338,000. So I guess they're going to have the military involved, but the military can't deal with everything. Louisiana, I'll check Louisiana also. Is this Louisiana here? My geography is not very good. Okay. So we see here overcapacity, overload is on the 12th, 13th of April, so about 2 weeks time. But do check out covidactnow.org. It's so it's a website it's not some conspiracy website. It's run by professionals within the medical community in the United States. We can see some of the names at the bottom. So here is a list of the people who have contributed. So this medical doctor here, global health and science security, clinical excellence. There are a lot of technology people as well, which is a bit strange, but maybe it's to deal with the data collecting or the analysis. But I do recommend checking out the map. So just go back to this. What was Farage ranting about? Ranting about he wants more attention for himself. Thank you, Glasgow Kiss. Thank you for posting that link to the donations. If you have a chance to donate, please do. Otherwise, hit the like button. Montana, my missus is there. We can have a look at Montana. Montana, is this Montana? I don't remember. Montana. Well, that's North and South Dakota. Is this Montana? I think this is Montana. Yay! It's probably one of the better positions, actually, Montana, because they have such a smaller population. So you see here 23,000 hospitalizations. So it's a smaller, Montana's a big state, but with a smaller population. So your missus is probably in a pretty decent state to be in. It doesn't have a huge population center. I don't remember the name of the main city in Montana. But you can see here 23,000 is not good, but it's not terrible either. If they implement some policies now, they'll be able to deal with the numbers coming in. 9,000. It's much smaller than what we're dealing with in Italy. And Colorado, we'll just go back to the map again. Colorado is one of the square-shaped ones. I think, no, this is Nirvana, I was going to say. I think this is Colorado. No, it's Utah, sorry. I'm not American, so I don't know all of the states. Colorado, maybe this is Colorado. New Mexico. Back again. I'm glad I'm not applying for US citizenship. Arizona. Where the hell is Colorado? Colorado, maybe it's this one. Or did I already click on this one? Colorado, okay. So here we are today. Colorado is will hit overload on about the 22nd of April, April 22nd. Max needs a map. 120,000 hospitalizations expected on the 2nd of May. Most Americans don't know the states either. Big sky country, small population, lots of open space. I think that's something that's going to help. Montana currently has 185 cases. I think these large open states are probably going to be better prepared in a way. What of Maine? You're expecting me to find Maine? Is this Maine? No. There's all these small ones, Delaware and New Jersey. I think New Jersey is going to be somewhat similar to New York. Max, questions like how many and why so slow are never going to be asked by the Tory supporting press because they don't want to upset their money buddies. Yes, I agree. Glenn B. Someone said that in the US it costs $30,000 if you get this and end up in hospital. $34,000 actually, to be correct. Yes, and a big problem is, please give site again. So the site is covidactnow.org is the name of the website. Just mention state for fun. What was I saying? You guys distracted me. So it's $34,000. So a big problem for a lot of people in the United States is now they are unemployed and their health insurance is connected to their job. And because they don't have a job at the moment, they don't have health insurance. So if they get sick, they won't be able to pay for the treatment because the treatment costs $34,000. So a lot of people don't want to get tested because they're afraid, well, if I get tested and I'm positive, do I go and get treatment? Well, I don't think I'd be I don't think I'd be covered because the health insurance company may not cover me, or maybe they may pay some of it, but I don't have enough to pay the rest. And I think the health insurance companies are saying we're not going to cover this treatment. So anyone who is getting treated needs to have a lot of money. David Weir subscribed. Trump speaking now. Shall we listen to Trump speaking? I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Let me see. Close this one. Just bear with me, guys, for a moment. I'll see if I can find our old friend Donald Trump. Let's see The Guardian.
Together and do our part. Purse has been, like so many others, just been amazing and so fast. They did it so fast. He's been doing that for a long time, but I think people are really seeing what they have done. Franklin Graham, very special family. As we send plane loads of masks and gloves and supplies to the communities battling the plague, and that's what it is. This is a plague. We also
I thought it was a hoax.
We pray for the doctors and the nurses, for the paramedics and the truck drivers and the police officers and the sanitation workers, and above all, the people fighting for their lives in New York and all across our land. I watched as doctors and nurses went into a certain hospital in Elmhurst this morning. I know Elmhurst, Queens. I grew up right next to it. I know the hospital very well. Been seeing it all my life, my young life. And I will tell you that to see the scenes of...
Did you hear what he said? All my young life.
And what they're doing with those trailers. They're freezers. And nobody could even believe it. And I spoke to some of my friends. They can't believe what they're seeing. And I watched the doctors and the nurses walking into that hospital this morning. It's like military people going into battle, going into war. The bravery is incredible. And I just have to take my hat. I would take my hat. If I were wearing a hat, I'd rip that hat off so fast, and I would say, you people are just incredible. They really are. They're very brave. They're going in, and
if I was wearing a hat, I'd take it off. Okay, I'd rip it off.
Things flying around in the air. You don't know what you're touching. Is it safe? And you also see where you have friends that go into the hospital, and you say how how is he doing 2 days later? And they say, sir, he's unconscious or he's in a coma. So things are happening that we've never seen before in this country. And with all of that being said, the country's come together like I've never seen it before. And we will prevail, we will win, and hopefully it will be in a relatively short period of time. With that, I'd like to ask Dr. Birx to come up and
We'll
show
win.
you some of the
You're talking about 100,000 people
data
dying.
that has been, I think, brilliantly put together. And right after that, I'm going to ask Dr. Fauci to speak. And Mike Pence is going to give you some of the recent events that have taken place and some of the statistics that we have that I think will be very interesting here. Thank you very much. Please, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I can have the first slide, please. So always, and that's what this slide is labeled, is goals of community mitigation. Really highlighting that this begins in the middle and the end with community. It is community and the community of the American people that are going to have to do the things for the next 30 days to make a difference. I think you know from that large blue mountain that you can see behind me, and I just want to thank the 5 or 6 international and domestic modelers from Harvard, from Columbia, from Northeastern, from Imperial, who helped us tremendously. It was their models that created the ability to see what these mitigations could do, how steeply they could depress the curve from that giant blue mountain down to that more stippled area. In their estimates, they had between 1.5 million and 2.2 million people in the United States succumbing to this virus without mitigation. Yet through their detailed studies and showing us what social distancing would do, what would happen if people stayed home, what would happen if people were careful every day to wash their hands and worry about touching their faces, that what an extraordinary thing this could be if every American followed these. And it takes us to that stippled mountain that's much lower, a hill actually, down to 100 to 200,000 deaths, which is still way too much. Next slide, please. Simultaneously, there was a modeler out of the University of Washington that modeled from cases up, utilizing the experience around the globe to really understand how this information that we have from Italy and Spain and South Korea and China could really help us give insight into the hospital needs, the ventilator needs, and really the
Okay, guys, so I better I need to not stay on the stream too long because the stream from The Guardian, there's a risk that I could have my channel shut down because I'd be using their copyright material. But you saw there, so the problem, 180 pound Duff tube. I don't think Trump understands the gravity of this. He doesn't understand how serious this problem is. I imagine they have spoken to him, but he doesn't seem to understand that this is something so serious that needs to be dealt with, and they need the governors need what they're asking for. He's gone to wash his orange hands. Make it stop. These people know a month or two ago. Yeah. So they're saying about, we've been watching how things are happening in Italy and in China, but we didn't actually take any heed of that. We just waited until it got here, and then even when it was here, we said, well, it's not going to affect us. We're ahead of this. We know how to deal with this. What was Trump saying? While it was happening in Italy, he was saying it was a hoax. It was an invention by the Democrats to impeach him. Then he was saying, oh, wait a minute, it's we'll deal with it. The numbers will go down to 0, like a miracle. And then he was saying, okay, we'll be able to reopen by Easter. Easter's a lovely period, a beautiful period. 30 seconds of any stream is fair use, Max. Okay. But I did a lot more than 30 seconds there. So. I learned a new verb today, to stipple, an artistic form, I believe, little to do with the coronavirus. No, it's important that we, Irish Hybe, it's important that we go off topic from time to time. Like me with my accent, and as some people like to bang on about a calendar. Trump will listen to the whole host of experts from various governance departments, but echo what he hears on Fox News. Yeah. And the people on Fox News have a lot of responsibility here, not just on this issue, but on many issues. Stable genius. Listen to Trump when he makes a speech. He can hardly breathe. Could Trump still be sick? I don't know. calendar. Is every disaster movie ever made? The scientists sending out a warning, and the politicians ignore it. Exactly. I agree. Fox News is worried about being sued over the virus. Trump has worked out he can get re-elected if he uses new corona voice. It's alright though, because he is going to take the hat off. What the fuck? The US is going to enter utter chaos. It would be more surprised. I'd be more surprised if they kept the death rate under 100,000 than a month, than 1 million. Seriously, I don't see them keeping it under 100,000. So they doubled from 2,000 to 3,000. Sorry, they went from 2,000 to 3,000 in just a couple of days, and this is just the beginning. This is not the peak. I think at the peak you're going to see maybe 10,000 a day in New York. And that's not the United States as a whole. Because in Italy, we've seen it peak at about 900 per day. I think today it was 700. No, I don't remember. The number keep changing. But maybe it was 800 today in Italy. But I think in the United States it's going to go well over. I think it could reach 10,000 a day. Then it would eventually drop. But you have, as I said before, you have someone like Trump.